Good morning, and thank you for joining me at Janus Early Years Services webinar. Today we're focusing on nursery management. So this is a 4-part series of nursery management, and today we're focusing on staffing. With staffing, all nursery managers or senior staff who are recruiting for seniors, for juniors, for apprentices, you will actually realise that it can be quite intense procedure. Can be quite an intense procedure. However, it's something that is needed. It's something that you need as a nursery manager. You cannot do everything by yourself. So that's something that we'll definitely be discussing today. How you're going to empower your staff and how you're going to support your staff. So the first thing that I think that nursery management consists of is staffing, as I said. So it all starts from the beginning. Now, whoever is interviewing, it's really important that you obtain your safer recruitment training. Now, you can go on to the Department of Education to actually undertake the training for safer recruitment. It's quite a long procedure, but nevertheless it will give you some great tips and actually open up your eyes to things that you probably wouldn't even realise yourself. Yes, you need to have your policies and procedures. However, this training course will actually open up your eyes. It's a 10-hour course, but you can stop and start whenever you like. So you can do it in your own time. You log on to the DFE website and you do it in your own time. Okay. So if you need the link for that, you can also contact us, and we'll be more than happy to forward you the link. That's no problem. Okay, so recruitment. When recruiting for your staff, it's really important that you sift through the CVs quite, pay a lot of attention on work history. So what a lot of nursery managers tend to do is that they're always in a rush for staff. Take your time with staff, because you never know what could cut you short 6 months down the line. Don't put yourself or your staff, other staff or any other children in that situation. It's really important that actually you take your time, take 10-15 minutes out just to go through CVs and look through work history if you're recruiting. It's also really important to ensure that your safer recruitment training that you have undertaken is in line with your current policy. Now, your current policy and procedures is something that we can also help you with, but it's also something where they say don't necessarily reinvent the wheel. When you already have something there, it's something to work with. Don't let your policies and procedures be something that you're dusting off. It's really important that you use them and that they're always up to date. Numerous of times I've gone into nurseries when I ask members of staff, what is this procedure? They're not too sure, because the procedures are not necessarily cascaded back to staff. It works the same for nursery managers and deputy managers. If you are interviewing with another senior, then it's really, really important that everyone is aware of what is expected from recruitment. Now, everything that you will cover in your policy should also, as I said, be in line with the safer recruitment. If it's not, then it's quite important that you actually look at that. Have a look at your policy. You might need to review it. That's also something that we can help you with. Now, once you have looked at your procedure, you have gone on to the DFE website, you have undertaken the safer recruitment training. Oh, it seems all long. It seems quite long, but that procedure is going to be long, and unfortunately there's no time limit on safeguarding children. So my advice to all nursery staff is that take your time, do not rush. You cannot rush these things. Now, if you have interviewed a member of staff, you've gone through their CV, you feel that they're a good candidate for you, you've gone through maybe the first screening sessions over the phone, then you can actually invite them for a face-to-face interview. Now, when you're at that stage of going through your face-to-face interview, remember that all nursery staff always seem so great on their first interview. hopefully that's always the case and it follows through. But unfortunately, in a lot of cases, a lot of people tend to put up a front, because a lot of people seem to think that nursery life is an easy way into childcare. It's not, unfortunately. It's something that everyone has to be on board with. Everyone needs to understand the importance of keeping children safe and ensuring that the children's development and well-being is always at stake. Okay. Now, if you feel that this candidate is the best one for you, you've gone through your CV screening, you've discussed it with another senior member of staff, you've followed your procedures, you invite the member of staff into the nursery, they fly through the interview with flying colours, and then you decide, okay, this could be a possible candidate for you. Now, this is the point. At this stage, this is where I've seen a lot of nurseries go a bit sideways. Okay, so it's really, really important that I would advise all nursery managers that you ask your staff, your candidates, to undertake a trial. Now, however you deal with it on the management side, that's another issue with regards to pay. It's a paid trial, an unpaid trial. Now, a lot of nurseries do undertake trials, and they do a one-day trial. Now, in my experience, a one-day trial is never enough. It's never, ever, ever enough. Nursery nurses can put a front on for 8 hours of the day. Of course they can. But nursery nurses cannot put a front on for a week or more. Yeah? Obviously you have your probation periods, which is in between 3 and 6 months. Of course you do. But that's more on the longevity, it gives you more longevity. It allows you to look at the person's practice on the whole. But in the recruitment procedure, on the recruitment process, from the very initial beginning, it's just about understanding whether that person can grow into your organisation or not. Now, the 2-week trial can consist of however you want it to go. I can give you a little bit of advice on that. My advice, what I've done in the past and what I've advised other nursery managers to do, is to ask them to come along to the nursery for a week or two's trial. It can be paid or unpaid. It's probably advised that it should really be paid, because you will also get the best out of them. They will also feel like they're working. You want them to feel like they're part of that team for those 2 weeks, 1 week, however you decide to go. Now, if they are successful with that trial, then it's really, 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 really important that you have a senior observing the staff, that member of staff. Now, you can assign a buddy, you can assign a room leader, a deputy manager, another senior nursery nurse. This is part of the first initial induction. This is only because it's really important for that member of staff to know that they've got someone there watching them, and also someone for them to feel comfortable, because it's really, it can be really scary and quite daunting for a new member of staff, and they might not necessarily be able to open up straight away. But if they've got someone that's assigned to them from the beginning, that's quite warm, quite welcoming, then I'm sure that their practice will shine through either way, whether they're good or they're bad. That's neither here nor there, to be fair. So either way, the practice will shine through. Now, however you make your decision at the end will be based on some of the comments and some of the ideas that the nursery practitioners have made, the ones that have been working with that member of staff. So with the recruitment procedure, it's really, really important that all of your staff take part in recruiting for a new member of staff, because they need to also know that they can also get on. They need to have, it's not about competition, who's a better nursery nurse. It's about working as a team, and that's the kind of culture that you are trying to create throughout your team. So once you take on that member of staff for their trial, when the buddy actually gives you feedback at the end, as a nursery manager, it's for you to make that last decision. Now, when you do make that ethical decision after the trial, it's really important that you follow through with the right procedures. So just very quickly, we'll touch upon that. It's really important that you make an offer to a nursery nurse, a nursery room leader, whatever role that you're recruiting for. It's really important that they are very much aware of what is expected from them. Okay, so you can actually use that through job descriptions. It's really important that you give them a job offer letter. Not only will it give them direction, it will also give you direction in the future, because something could crop up and you just need to know that you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's. Okay, once you've done all of that, if you do feel that you know that this person is for you, the guidance on this role is, as I say, it's absolutely paramount. What I tend to use with my inductions in the past, and also supporting other managers, I also create KPIs, which are key performance indicators. This is to measure performance for staff. Now, obviously, when you go through appraisals, you need something to measure it up against. Now, the job description, obviously, ultimately, yes, that is something you measure your staff's practice up against. But, you know, it's performance is totally different to a job description. Now, this is what key performance indicators are for. So this is something that I've used in the past, and also what I encourage nursery managers to use. We also, as Janus Early Years Services, we also create key performance indicators based on your setting, based on what you go through as a nursery. So you know, so we can do that for you if you haven't got them already. As I said, reinventing the wheel's not something that's always the best decision. So okay, so making sure that they've got KPIs, measure them up against the KPIs. Now, I'll give you an example of a KPI. How long does it take a member of staff to write an observation? Okay, all of these step-by-step points is to ensure that they are meeting deadlines, to make sure that they are meeting their key performance indicator. So we're using an observation as an example. The observation, obviously, you know, you look through the child's portfolio. How long does it take a nursery nurse to actually work out how to do that in a nursery? So all of these, based on key performance indicators, will actually give you an insight as to how that nursery nurse, nursery manager, nursery room supervisor, however, whatever role it is that you've actually got your KPIs for, it will give you a good indicator as to how a member of staff works. Are they focused? Are they motivated? Are they self-motivated? Are your staff motivating them? So it's quite important that you have some kind of performance measurements in place to ensure that, you know, you're supporting your staff, and so that you can measure them up against something. Because I've noticed in a lot of settings what nursery managers are doing when it's coming to appraisals, they're actually just writing from a sheet. Now, that's okay if you want to be a baseline nursery, but if you want the best out of your staff and you want the best for your nursery, then it's quite important that you put some time and effort into something that will measure members of staff's performance. So that in that respect, staff management can be quite tedious, and you know, it's quite intense at times. But nevertheless, in the long run, you will get the best out of your staff and you will understand them a little bit more. Okay, so as we're talking about KPIs and we're talking about measuring staff's performance, we can now move on to empowerment. Now, staff management is something that it's a skill. It's definitely a skill. and it's something that not everybody can obtain straight away. It's something that can be taught, I believe, if someone has the drive to be able to learn it. But staff empowerment actually starts from the manager. It starts from the actual top. Now, someone that I used to work with always used to say to me that, you know, it's exactly like a pyramid, which I believe it is, exactly like a pyramid. And if the peak isn't strong, then unfortunately the rest of the pyramid will crumble. So at the top, it starts from the very top. If nursery managers are enthusiastic, bubbly, they love what they're doing, and it shines through every single day, your staff will follow suit. Now, nursery empowerment, or nursery nurse empowerment, or staff empowerment, it understands it. You all will have the end goal, and it will always be the same. You can do this through general comments throughout the day. You can actually conduct these through competitions with rooms, with age groups. You can, you know, in staff meetings, we can have member of staff of the month. So there are lots and lots of different things. But overall, nursery nurse empowerment, empowering your staff, is something that a nursery manager should do every single day. You know, give credit where credit's due, because nursery nurses are working very long hours, and it's only them that are going to support you through the struggles of how to actually get through your staff, to get through your day. So you can also officially, you can do this through supervisions. Now, nursery managers that I have worked with in the past have found it very difficult to find time for supervisions. What I would encourage all nurseries to actually do is give that responsibility to someone that is next in line. So give that to the room supervisors, you know, the members of staff who are supervising the staff. You know, as a nursery manager, try not to take everything on board yourself. So on a weekly basis, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, not necessarily quarterly, because that's is too far in between. So maybe ask your room supervisors to conduct supervisions on a weekly, depending on how the members of staff are doing. So that's also a really, really good tool to use for empowering your staff. It's really important that you give serious sandwich feedback, positive, negative, positive. It's really important that you ensure that it doesn't matter how you're feeling personally. This is how you need to train your nursery room supervisors, or whoever's supervising, doing supervisions, that they have to also stay positive regardless of how they feel about a member of staff. Now, the room supervisor, or whoever's undertaking the supervision, it's their job to collate evidence for you as a nursery manager. That is their job. Their job is to oversee the operation in their room and to collate evidence. Now, if you need some support with supervisions, that's also something we can help you with, but it's quite straightforward. You just need to ask them how they're doing, if you've got any questions, and you must make sure you write some actions and some targets at the end of the supervision, and making sure that they're carrying them out. Now, depending on your room supervisor and how well they're doing, they will be able to conduct these supervisions in an effective way and follow them through. Exactly like next steps for children, members of staff need next steps for themselves. They need evaluation, they need observations, and they need assessments. Okay, if you use the observation, assessment and planning concept with your leadership and management supervisions, you shouldn't have an issue or a problem with ensuring that the supervisions are met effectively. Okay. It's also important to empower staff officially through giving them a responsibility. Now, how you actually give responsibilities is through your designated officers. Now, I've been working really closely with the nursery this week, and all of the members of staff seem quite flat meaning their attitude. So they're on almost autopilot. And I said to the nursery manager, so who does this? And oh right, okay, so who looks at this? And she said, I do. There's no I-in team. There's no I-in team, and that's the first thing that I said to her, that there isn't an I-in team. And in order to empower your staff to ensure that they are feeling part of the team, that they are doing things, you need to cascade information, and you need to delegate. Delegation is something that a lot of nursery managers find difficult. Not necessarily just nursery managers, it's room supervisors also. So anyone that's in charge find it difficult to delegate. Now, it's about delegation and following up. Delegation, following up. Delegation, following up. If you make sure that you follow these steps, you will not have a problem with nursery management at all. Okay? So the nursery that I was working with this week, as she kept on saying, oh, it's me, I do this, I do this, I do this, I said to her, have you got designated officers? So she said, no. What are designated officers? So I just gave her a little bit of advice as to how to go about designated officers, because this nursery was struggling with nursery management on a whole. Designated officers, if you're not currently using them, it's a great tool to be able to empower your staff. Now, you can write up a list of different things that you do that helps you run your nursery in operation. For example, your safeguarding officer, you've got your equal opportunities officer, a behaviour management officer, you might have an events coordinator, you might have a resource manager, because as a manager you cannot afford to do absolutely everything, only because obviously it goes without saying that 1, you will burn yourself out, and 2, you will not meet your KPIs yourself as a manager. Now, it is our goal, we ensure that all managers always meeting their KPIs. That's what we're here for. We help and support nursery managers to ensure that they're meeting all of their targets, and that they're having a nursery, that they're running a nursery that's of an outstanding, and it's only for one thing, and that is ensuring that their children's development is always exceeding the over and above. Yes, it goes without saying, yes, we do these things for Ofsted. Yes, I have that folder for Ofsted. Yes, I do this for Ofsted. But how about you as a nursery manager? How about you as a nursery manager? You really need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Take 10 minutes of your day, and if you're on autopilot as a nursery manager, seeing parents, seeing staff, interviewing, think about, stop and think, why am I doing this? And think of ways to be able to constantly self-motivate your intentions. Okay, so always be self-motivated, always find ways to empower yourself. Yes, it comes from your seniors, I understand that, but as a nursery manager it can be quite lonely at the top, so it's important that you keep yourself up to date with what's going on out there. Okay, so given responsibility, so pass responsibilities onto your members of staff. Training. Now, staff management, or people management, shall we say, if staff do not know what's expected of them, how can we ask members of staff to do certain things? It's all about training, it's about induction, it's about staff knowing exactly what's expected of them. It's good communication, it's ensuring that you let off a good vibe, a good sparkly spirit, and that only really boils down to training. Now, there are lots and lots of boroughs who are clawing back on nursery training. We have a lot of training programs in-house, that's Janice Early Years Services training courses. So if you are interested in some nursery management courses, or if you're not too sure about whether your staff are actually up to date with knowledge of the EYFS, you can also ask that of us, and we're more than happy to also support with that. Nevertheless, I know that the government still have some courses running. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. It's really important that you keep your staff up to date with what's going on. You don't necessarily, it's not something also that you have to pay for. It's also something that you will cover in your staff meeting. So, if one month you've found that all staff are struggling with potty training, for example, why don't you actually use your staff meeting to focus on that one thing? That can be classed as a training session, and you can collect that evidence for Ofsted. You can ask somebody else to take pictures while you're conducting that training session. You can also ask your staff what it is that they would like training on, because personal development is something that in nursery life that we always tend to forget about, because we are just constantly running with the time. We're constantly on autopilot, ensuring that we're covering all aspects of nursery management. But it's important to stop and think about what it is that your staff need. So if a member of staff has said to you, I'd like to go on EAL training, English as Additional Learning Training, and you say that would be really good. I think I think that I can put you onto that training. I think that'd be really good. And actually, it turns out that that member of staff doesn't need to necessarily go on that training. That's just a waste of time. It's your duty as a nursery manager to identify what the learning areas are for a member of staff and actually place that or provide training for those members of staff. So that's also another way to empower your staff, through training. Okay, another way, informally, that you can ensure that you are empowering your staff is touching base with them. I'm not talking about an appraisal. I'm not saying that that you're not following up with your room supervisors. It's important that you touch base. Touching base with your member of staff is really, really important. Now, I have managed settings of 100. I have managed settings of 20. It's my duty to ensure that I'm making time for my 75 staff, or if I've got a team of 5. It's your duty as a nursery manager to touch base with every single person. It might not necessarily be about about nursery life. It might be about what they're experiencing in life also. I believe that it shouldn't be a sit-down session. No. It's understanding where they're coming from. So if you're passing them in the corridor, how are you doing? How are things? Make things quite personal, not to the point where they're telling you about whatever it is what they've got going on, because as women, that we like to actually talk about everything. But women are men. But then it's really important that you touch base. Just really, really touch base with that member of staff. Give them the sense. And the genuine sense that you care about them. Okay, every member of staff feels needy. Every member of staff needs your attention as a nursery manager. So always touch base with them. How are you doing? How are things? Is everything okay? And if you get a small inkling, I always tell the staff that who I'm inducting, training, managers who I'm training, or training managers in training, use your gut feeling. Always use your gut feeling, because from my experience, that my gut feeling is that as soon as I can feel that there's something going on with a member of staff, it could just be that they're thinking of leaving. and you don't want to do that. You don't want anyone to leave without you knowing why. So all these things are really important that you know what's going on with them. Okay. Going back to the recruitment, this ties in with empowerment and recruitment actually. If you come across someone who changes midway, and you find that after touching base with them, you've empowered them, you've gone through your correct procedure, my sincere advice would be never keep someone who doesn't want to be kept. Okay? Never keep someone that doesn't want to be kept. So it's quite important that if something doesn't work with you, move on. Move on. It's really important that you move on. Okay? Your job as a nursery manager, or those in senior management, it is your job to secure an outstanding setting, and without your staff you're unable to do that. It's really important that you take your time out to observe as a nursery manager, and remember, as I said earlier, you know, without your staff you cannot run a setting. So good staff management is something that is extremely important, and it starts from the beginning. It starts from the recruitment procedure. Okay, you need to get to know your staff, know what their strengths are, know what their weaknesses are, and use KPIs and supervisions to be able to support them to their next step. It is your job to ensure that you are supporting them with their next step. As much as you're making, you know, you're secure and enabling environment for a child, it's exactly the same for a member of staff. If staff aren't happy, children won't be happy. If children are not happy, parents will not be happy. It's a big cycle. Okay. Thank you for listening today. That's all on staff management for now. Staff management, again, this is something, it's just a taster for those who need some support and understanding that they're not alone through a tough procedure. If you need any advice, you can give us a call at any time. The number to call is 0203 674 8160. If you are going through any disciplinary procedures and you're not too sure about something, or if you need some advice on anything, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to assist you with that. We do have a robust HR department who support with robust procedures, so you can call us at any time for that extra support. Okay. Next week Saturday, we will be focusing on children and child development, so be prepared. So you can also visit our website at www.jeys.co.uk, and as I said, you can also give us a call at any time should you need any support. You can also email me at Julia, that's JULIA, at janusrecruitment.com. Okay. Have a joyful week, and if you have got any questions, please do ask. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.